In this demonstration we're going to be showing how to use a selection of minerals from Scotland and a Celtic motif and putting all those together into finished rings as you can see on the screen. Okay, the first thing we want to do is to open a model. We're just going to select an image here. These are bespoke gems that have come in, so I've taken some photographs of them next to a coin, and I'm just now going to just make that full screen here, and I need a circle now around the coin just to make sure that we get the right size. So this is going to define the size of this area. So just around the outsides, I know the coin is 19mm, so I'm going to add that into here now, into the set size. I want to add 19 into here, and that will correct the measurement now for the gem. So we now know the correct size of this gem. I now just need to select the polyline, and I'm going to draw around the outside, just to sketch around the outside of this polyline. You want to try and get as close as you can, because you need quite a good fit for the setting that we're going to use to set the crystal in. This is a Cairngorm crystal that we've got here. Okay, I have the items here. I'm just going to press N for node editing, and I'm just going to drag those nodes in now, smooth them where necessary, and Bezier them. So I'll press B for Bezier, it's a little shortcut. You can right mouse click as well, that'll give you the same option, so you can go into here. I'm going to copy that line, and I want to just close this down now and make a new window, and I'm going to open a new model now here, 15 by 15 by about 40 to give me high resolution. If you look at the bottom right hand section of the screen, you can see the actual measurement of the gem, which is 10 by 13. So now we've got a new window here. I'm just going to paste in now that vector that I've copied, and we're going to start forming this now in the center of this area. Okay, so I've just pasted it and centered it, and now I'm just going to offset it with the new offset tools. Just drag. I'm saying both sides here and radius. I want about 0.9 on this. That's okay. And now I'm going to use the you can either use F12 or the shape editor icon, which is here, and I'm going to now use the square. I want to limit the height to this. I'm going to say about 3mm, something like this. And if we look from the top now, you'll see I need to just pull in this section to the outside vector. So you can imagine we've got a sloping outside, then we've got a little setting edge to here, and now I'm going to use this line here to put the setting edge on the inside for the gem to go inside. So I'm just going to pull that down. I'm going to actually set the limit height again here, probably 0.5 for the internal surface this time. That's okay. Just drag that fairly vertical to give me a nice edge. That will be okay. Apply this, and then I'll pick the center section here, and I'm going to now use the square again and just pull straight away through so I can make a hollow section all the way through. We need the back relief on here as well, the back profile, just so we can see all the way through the model. Okay, that's the whole item finished. I'm happy with that. I'll probably just run a smoothing pass over that surface. You can either raise the height of the resolution or just run a quick smoothing pass over here. So I'll take the vectors off. I'll go for smooth here. Just one pass should do, that's fine. That's brought it all into a nice finish now. So we're ready now to mesh this. So use the mesh tool, create mesh triangle mesh, create the back relief. I'm going to rename this now crystal setting, and we're going to save, add this to the assembly folder. Okay, so it's now here in the assembly folder. I've got both now. I've got the one that I'm working on and the one that's in the assembler. So we've got an image that we started with, and then we've got the 3-axis flat too. I'll just rename this image so we know which one we're dealing with a little bit later on. Say crystal, and inside here now, my project folder, I'll have all these items listed ready for us to use. I'm now going to start making the gem, so I'm going to make myself a new layer here. You can make the gem as well inside ArtCAM, so we're just going to use this. I'm going to call this crystal gem. I've made all the gems earlier, but I'm just going to go through and show you how we go about making these. So I need the center line here, because this is the gem, where the gem's going to sit, and I'm going to use the shape editor again, and I'm going to just form that into a shape. I don't want limit height on here. I need to turn off the project folder here, the setting. I don't need the setting on, I just want the gem itself. So the gem has no height restrictions on this, so because it's a crystal, so we just need to get that height of that crystal correct. I'm just going to scale that down a little bit now to the measurements of the crystal. I need to do a back relief as well now, so the front, that'll be fine. I just need to go into the back section here, and I'm going to use the shape editor again. I just pull down probably limit the height to about 0.5 because this is the shape of the crystal at the back. It's quite a flat item. And just drag that so the sides match the crystal that I have. So we have the outside shape because from the vector, and then I'm just matching now the crystal shape ready. Okay, once I'm happy with that, I just need to mesh this one too. So I'm going to go to just apply that first of all. So we have the finished model, and now I'm going to create the mesh with the create triangle mesh, and I'm going to call this crystal. You can do the sapphire as well. The sapphire that we're going to do next, you can do this the same. I won't show that one just to sort of save a little bit of time, but it's the same principle. So crystal gem, I'm going to add this now to my project. So I have the gem 2, and I'm now going to put this STL directly into my gem folder. So I'm going to export this as an STL to the gem library, which is in the ArtCAM files, gems, and I was going to add this one in here. I need it to be an STL. See, all the rest of them are here. I'm just going to type the name in, what it's called. This is called crystal gem. And say OK. Now that's part of the gems. I just need to take an image as well at the front. So if we go to the gems, you can see they're here. Just select this item. It won't have a picture when you first come in. It'll just have the name. And then we're just going to set the colours now of the gems for the first time. So I'm setting the colour of the item that I want. I'm going to say OK to that and bring in the model. So now I have two gems. I have a gem 1 and an STL 1. We'll delete the STL 1 because we don't need it. Okay, you can use the snippet tool next, or just you can either say through ArtCAM or just use a snippet tool. We just need an image now so we can store into our gem library. So I'm going to use this one just to get an image off the screen. It's about the quickest way. I'm going to save that now also into my save it directly from here actually into my folder. So ArtCAM files. I want to go to the gem library. I want to go to gems, and it must be called exactly the same as the folder for the model itself. So make sure it's saved exactly the same name, and then that image will appear then underneath or on top of the model that you want to select each time. So the next time you go to the gem library, if we just get rid of this, you'll see next time we go to the gem library there will be an option for us to select it with a particular picture byte. So we'll just delete these ones out so you can see me selecting it from new, and get rid of the STL model as well. So inside here I want to use gems. Go to the library, you'll see the pictures here, and I need to select the colour because it could be any particular colour of gem. I'm just going to select sort of a canned gourmet colour here. That's fine, and say OK, and select it as it is. That's the actual size, and now we're ready to place inside the model. So this is here for evermore now, this particular shape. You probably won't ever find a crystal like this again, but at least it's the shape that's going to fit into the mount, and you can select that arbitrarily from the library. Okay, now we're going to use the sapphire this time. We're going to say model again, select the image, say yes, update. So now it's saving this file away because we've made the first mount. Now we're going to make the mount that's going to fit around the sapphire. So just select the image at the actual size. We'll just go a little bit closer in now. The same principle again, we're going to add a circle around the known diameter, which is this coin. Good to take a photograph with a known diameter on it. I'm just going to center this into the middle of the screen now so we can get an outside edge of that coin roughly. Perfect. Right mouse click just to confirm that on the screen. Just center that a little bit more. And then we're ready to just resize that. So model, set size, I want it to be 19mm in the center. So okay, so now everything's sized correctly to the gem. Again, we need the polyline tool. Just going to go around the outside here. Sometimes the facets on these types of stones as well is really quite good, because it'll automatically build the facets into the gem if you're going to make a gem to fit a mount or a setting. So it's really quite useful for that. Okay, we just need now to smooth some of the edges. Control S will smooth the edges, or right mouse click and S to smooth. I'm just sorting out the edges now, trying to avoid all the shadows that might be there too. Just position those in, Slightly Bezier that one. Okay, you can copy that, Control C, or just right mouse click and Control C, they're all still there. I'm going to make a new 3-axis flat here. Again, the size doesn't have to be that big. If you can look at the bottom of the screen, it's 4x6 this gem here. So if I just set 10mm square, that should be fine. I'm just going to raise the resolution to 40, just so we get a nice smooth finish on the model. So now I should have a new area here, a new window. All this being saved in the project folder, so you can go back at any time to look at any of these. And I'm going to paste this in, right mouse click and paste, and center with the center in model icon. I just need now to center this manually. Sometimes triangles go a little bit off center, so that's fine. And then we can use the F3 button, or just double click on the model here so we can see it in 3D view. Turn on the vectors. And I just need to use the offset icon now here and dynamically offset that again. Probably for the outside of this we only need to be about 0.6, 0.7 at this point. This needs to be a little bit thinner because it's a smaller gem, and that'll be okay. And you can use F12, which is the shortcut button, or the icon for the shape editor tools. Okay, we can start shaping those. Use F12, like I say, and start shaping this from the top surface. So we want something about 2.5 this time on that top section. Looking directly down from Z, we want this to give us a nice setting edge just outside of the actual setting edge for the gem to sit inside. Before I do that, I'm going to go back to the model. Talking about making a higher resolution, you can go into here and set the resolution size, model resolution. You can see it's set at 400 here. I can say 1000 by 1000 even at 10mm, which gives me even finer detail on the settings if you really want to. So again, I'm just going to select the F12 button. That's already selected, already knows what I want to do. That'll be okay. And I'm going to select the next vector again. I want to limit this height inside. So here, about 0.5 should be okay. Keep that going down till we get some nice vertical walls. Not too vertical, we want a nice smooth finish. And then select the internal surface here to go all the way through the model. Perfect. So all these settings now are ready. I'll just apply that as a final setting edge. That's okay. Just have a quick check round to make sure everything's okay. Probably want to just run a smoothing pass on that. One quick smoothing pass just to give me some nice edges. So that should be fine. This is only a tiny little sapphire. Turn the vectors off, and now we're going to save that as a triangle mesh too. So here, that's fine. Add it as the sapphire setting, just so I've got a list of all the items that I'm going to use for this particular model. And add to the project. That's great. Okay. Okay, I'm going to use some of the nice new dynamic tools now inside the assembler. We're going to start putting into the gems inside the settings, just so that when I move it onto the model, everything moves together. So we're going to select the gem, look for the sapphire. This is the one that I made earlier. Tick the particular colour, so I want it to be sapphire, and just say select the gem. And use the dynamic transform tool here, and this is a really nice tool, this one. You can now position items just by dragging them in the 3D view. So you can either select the mount or the gem itself. So I'm going to select the gem and just drop that into the setting edge just to make sure everything's going to fit. And because I made the gem earlier from a different vector, I just need now to position that into the center of here. So just make sure that fits. And if you can imagine, we're about 1,000 times the size here of the actual gem. So if we get it right here, it'll be absolutely perfect by the time it gets down to the actual size of this item. Okay, so the gem is fine. I just need to turn off the relief model because I'm still building that here as far as ArtCAM is concerned. So if we just turn those layers off at the top of the screen, and now we can see the actual STL model. I'm going to transform this one, just drag that up into place so you can see that's okay. And that's ready to go now, that's all together. Now, so we've got some new options inside the assembly folder here. These ones will lock all those items inside. They group things together, so when you move them in the assembly, they'll stay together as you move them. So in here I'm going to do the same for the crystal too. I'm just going to find the crystal gem, just click on it and bring that in. Again, we'll probably have to define the colour on this because it's quite a different item, so we've got the colour already defined, and say OK. Select the size that we want, which is the one that we've drawn. And again, I'm going to just select the crystal itself, transform tool, and I'm going to just drag that now into the setting just to make sure it all fits correctly. So that's okay too. Again, we'll lock it once it's inside. And now those are all grouped together, so when I move something on that model, it'll move automatically together. Now we need to make a new ring model this time. So we're going to put all these now on top of a ring. I'm just going to select a size, say size N. I'm going to keep the border at 5, keep the resolution at 30, and here I'm going to change now the actual model itself. So here I want to, the top and bottom thickness can remain the same. At the top I'm going to put about 15 millimeters in, and at the bottom where the shank joins, probably about 3. So that's roughly where I want to be with those. We've got some nice new dynamic tools in here too, which I'll show you that we can do live. We'll update the project so at least everything's stored away. Now we have our tapered ring mount. You can use a window tile vertically to get both the images on the screen if you want to, or you can just use the 3D view. So I've just turned on the gem. I'm just now going to push that into position. It'll probably be better from a F3 if we just use or double click on here to get a full view of this. Okay, so looking from the top view now, I've just raised the gem. I'm going to look directly from that top view, and I need to rotate that gem round. I want the sort of Sharpie point to sort of be pointing downwards here. So you can either type it in, or you can just move it dynamically. I'm just roughly pushing that gem in where I want it to be. So I've rotated it round on the Z axis, which looks okay. And I can just testing from the side now to make sure everything is where I want it. Again, dynamically up and down, you can see it coming to the bottom here. So that's going to be just above the finger, the internal surface of the finger. And now I'm going to just select the sapphire. So I've just turned the sapphire on, and we can see it's sitting inside the ring shank now, waiting for me to position it. I'm going to turn the shank off so I can just rotate that sapphire around. Get rid of the crystal as well so I can just see it more clearly. And I want to rotate that and make a new origin point for this gem. So you can either just drag it round dynamically, or you can punch in a particular origin point that you want. Okay, I just need to have a look from the top view here just to make sure it's in the right place. I'm going to turn on the outside and inside shank again. I'm just going to check with the crystal as well. Turn the crystal on so I can see where that's positioned. That'll be fine. And inside the nudge, the old nudge option now, you can see here I can set new world center, or new origin center for the sapphire. And you can see the gnomons changed now, so I've got an X, Y and Z. And that means now when I pull that sapphire onto that surface, it'll stay in that orientation for me, and I can drag it across that surface. I've just used the lay on surface tool inside the assembly options, and you can see I can push that now into place, just lining it up roughly where I want it to be. Just checking on the different angles. I'll go a little bit closer now, and I'll use the dynamic positioning tool again, this transform tool here, just push that now into the surface. So that should be okay. That's roughly where I want it to be. Just make sure that it's positioned correctly. Check it all over. That should be okay. Okay, so I've got the parts that I need for the sapphire and the crystal, and I just need now to use some of the component library parts for the standard item. So looking findings, and here we got some gems already set at the bottom. So this is a 3.5mm diamond that we have for this ring. I've just brought that in. These are settings that you can wrap claws around or just under bezels really, and I'm going to use this one and break it apart. So I've just put it into the wrong place. Just drag it up into the assembly if you ever do that. And in here I just want to change the outer setting, so I'm just going to drag that in, and using the dynamic transform tool I want to use scale this time, and see a component center I want to scale. So using the component center now, it's going to increase the size of the setting around the gem. It's really quite nice. Also use it for scaling the height, and now we're ready to drop this setting also into the ring. So I'm going to use the lay on surface tool again, and it's all locked together, so the gem and the model are locked together, and I'm just going to drop that into place. Again, just lining it up, making sure it's in the right place. This is quite a bespoke ring really, so all the items are quite different. So we're just going to position those using some of the dynamic tools. Again, wrapping around world center or component center. So world center drives it around the ring, component center will rotate it around its own axis. Again, I'm just going to line up these items, make sure everything's in place from the side. We're happy with everything we have here. I'll just drop that one probably a bit further down into the mount to match the other side, and that should be okay. Okay, you can either copy this one, or you can add a new one from the library. So we'll just copy this by dragging and control at the same time, and it makes a copy. So I've made a copy of this item, and I want to scale it now. I'm going to use it for a smaller item. I'm just going to use the transform tool again and scale options. Make sure it's component center though, and not world center. So just position it up. So world center puts it through the mount, but if I change it to component center, it'll now scale it around itself. So it will keep it visible basically. Down to about 2.6, 2.7, something like this. That'll be fine. And now I'm going to push that into position 2. Just want to change the color of that, so you can go into here, use the information tool here, and edit the color. I want this to be a red. It's a garnet actually, but it's like a ruby red color, so that's fine. And again, I'm going to position that one. Now these are the only two items that actually match. So just make sure the diamond's in the right place. Check that the garnet's in the right place. And these are all minerals that were mined in Scotland. Okay, so I've got that in position. That'll be fine. Just need to rotate it along the side axis now. Just make sure that's going to be level. I want the world center first. Just drag it into position. You can also do the component center as well, if need be. I'm going to use that lay on surface again and just make another copy of these now. So this is for another smaller garnet, just to sit on the outside of here. So again, if we go into the transform tool, the dynamic transform tool, first of all find out which gem you've copied. Go into the dynamic tool, component library. I need scaling, and we're going to scale this down roughly to about 2.1, 1.9, something like that. That should be okay. Okay, so now I'll probably need to just extend the center of that a little higher. So I'm going to use the transform positioning tools. So I'll just select the item that I want to move, and let's just put it into place. So around the world center first. That looks okay. Just make sure everything's lined up. And now I'm going to make sure they all go into one folder. So I've just cut that now. I'm going to paste it inside the other folder here. So both gems now are in here because I want to mirror those across. I don't want to mirror them separately. It's just easier if you mirror them together. So use the mirror tool across the XZ, and now I've got a copy on the other side. So that's sort of, those two gems there are going to make both sides equal. And I just need now to position the sapphire within those two gems. So I'm just going to move that slightly now. I can see where that needs to be positioned to make sure that's going to give a bit more balance to the ring, especially when we're using these really quite bespoke gems. So I'm just pulling that into place. Well, that should be about right. Just click on the screen to deselect, turn off the vectors, and then we can see everything in place. Okay, so we're pretty much ready now to start putting the design onto the shank. Just before we do that though, we need to make some underbezels for this ring. So I'm going to go into the front relief just to check there's only one file so far in here. And now to make the underbezels, we just need to go to the assembly folder. We're going to not into that one just yet. We're going to go to the assembly folder here and right mouse click and create rotary relief. And you'll see now it'll bring all those gems and settings in and make all the underbezels automatically. And they're just all new files now they'll be. So if we go and have a look at the relief layer now at the bottom, you'll see if I turn this one off, all the underbezels have now been made. So now it fits around the actual finger size too. And I just need to make those a little bit smoother, but before we can do that we need to merge them all together. So they're all there, but I want to merge everything except the shank into one folder. So I'll just run a smoothing pass. Just before I do that I need to merge them all. So over here and then merge visible. So all the ones that are switched on, I need them to be merged into one. You see it's turned all the other ones off now. And now I have one that I can smooth, which is quite nice. So I'll just keep smoothing that until we're happy with the finish. Okay, we just need to sort of make sure all the colours the same now as well. So I'll just come out of the smoothing relief and we'll go to the relief colouring first here. So this is going to be rendering the relief model. I'll just go to the top here, select 24 karat for now and apply, and you'll see now the mounts as well are a different colour. So these are the ones that I've made. So these STLs here are still the modelling. So if we go into the assembler, this can control through here. I need to go to 24 karat, make sure all those now follow the same colouring and the same rendering. Okay, so we're ready to have a look at that shank back onto that surface. So if we just turn that back on again, you'll see now it's lifted everything up. I just need to merge the merge layer. So just merge it with the relief layer, and now it sits inside the relief. So all the under bezels now are sitting inside this ring shape that we have. Okay, just before we put on the pattern, we're just going to turn off all the gems now in the assembly folder, and then I'm going to unwrap this ring so it's flat, and it's much easier now to place the Celtic patterns that I want to use. So I'm going to open a new file here, File, from File, again I want to select the motif that I want to use. It's now going to save everything away for me so I don't lose any of the information that I've done so far. Center it into the page, and now this is the motif the guy wants me to use. Okay, so on here now I'm going to double click on the center option here on the 2D view, and I'm going to use the bitmap to vector and reduce all the colours down to about 2, that's fine. So OK to that, and then we're going to create the vector so it'll automatically trace everything. If I just turn down the bitmap file now, you can see where the vectors have been made, and just take the items that I want, which is this central section. Before I take this section, I just need to size this to a more reasonable size. So it's quite a large image at the moment, so I want to size this down to, I don't know, it's 90 at the moment. Let's go for a third of that. Let's say about 30 millimeters, and say OK to that, and say OK. That's probably a little bit too big still, so I'm going to size that down to about 15. I don't need much more than 15 millimeters, I don't think. So I'll just select those items again, and we'll go down to 15 for this. That should be okay. So now I'm going to right mouse click and copy. You can also do Control C, which is the same command, and I'm going to open a new folder now. Oh sorry, I'm going to open the tapered round where the ring's been built originally. Just double click on that. To open up the ring again, I'm going to add this pattern to that ring. So we'll update everything. That keeps that image also now in the project folder. So everything is now together. If I need to go back to anything at any point, I can still go and retrieve those things. So we're back into the ring design now. I'm going to just turn off the vectors and unwrap, and paste, right mouse click and paste this item in. So now we've got the Celtic weave here, still rather a little larger than I want. So I'm just going to use the transform tools, Control T, and drag those, just T for transform, and drag that into position. Just rotate round, probably scale it a little bit more, put the centre back in here, get a little bit closer, and all I'm doing now really is lining up this pattern with the first edge, and then we can start laying out the rest of the design. So that's fine. Control and move will give me a copy of this, so that's a copy of that one. Just need to line those up. Again, rotate it. The rotation point's here, just move that to the centre, drag it and drop it. I want it to rotate around its own centre. That's okay. Let's position that where I want it. Okay, I'm going to copy those two across now. I'm just going to select this one and mirror using the mirror tools. So use the mirror icon here. This one. I'm going to mirror just below and copy. So over model and copy. So these are in the sort of central position now. I'm going to control and move again. So I've made a copy of this one, and I'm going to change this option here so it fits as a different type of shape. I'm going to use the rotation tools first of all to rotate into the center of the model. It's the center of this motif that I want center on that line. We're going to use Control Ungroup or right mouse click and ungroup. I want to select this vector now and use the envelope distortion tool here, and I'm just going to drag this so I don't have to reshape it. I'm just going to drag the vectors around using this tool. It's just a little bit quicker usually. Once I'm happy with it, I've got to remember to use the finish tool on the right hand side. That'll keep the shape for me. And again, on the opposite end, I need to change the shape of this one. Use the envelope distortion tool again. And I just want to drag this point here into position, manipulate the bottom sections here. Just get this particular shape correct, how I'd like it to look. And you can do 2 or 3 goes at this, you don't have to do it in one go. So if we just say, we're going to say finish here, and I can go in again, and now I can use some other points to change the shape of this. So it's, rather than trying to do it in one hit, it's sometimes quicker to do it in 2. Okay, so I've got roughly the shape that I want to use. Just make it look a bit more shape. Okay, grab all those again, Control G for grouping them. Just reposition, T for transform, and just put into position. I'm going to just do a bit more envelope distortion on this end actually, so I'll just use that again, and I want to now shape the whole item so it fits more in to that other end. So it sort of brings the whole ring together, make it a little bit longer, using the transform tool. Just drag those items out. I'll just position that now with the envelope distortion. Remember to hit finish, and that's okay. So I'm just going to mirror now all of those items. So select, I need to group all those first, so Control G for grouping, or right mouse click and group. And if I select all those now, I'm probably going to collect all those and group those too. Control G, or right mouse click and group. And then we're going to use the mirror tool now, again, and mirror across the whole model. So I've now got it on both sides of the ring too. Okay, the last thing I need to do is to get an outside boundary for this whole model here. So I'm going to go to the relief layer which contains the ring and use the boundary option. Select relief only, create boundary. So now it's traced a vector all around the outside. I'm going to use the offset tool here, and I want it just to go onto the one side, not both sides. So I'll select offset outer, and I want to make it sharp, so I'm just dragging it to that edge. And now I'm going to use Alt at the same time in transform mode just to bring those two sides into where I want them. I want to make a little plain part of the shank here so this can be sized at a later date. I'm going to just click on those vectors again there and use the A tool. Just press A once you're in node editing, and that will give you an arc. You can pull that arc into the shape that you want. Okay, I just need to extend this outside vector just a tad more so it's away from that ring, so it's away from the main body of the ring. And on this we're going to use the vectors in a reverse action really to get the shape. So most times you're going to be looking at just forming those shapes onto the surface, but this time we're going to use them as the mandrel for forming the outer part of these shapes. So we're going to select all the motifs, control and group those, and I'm going to use the outer one too. Turn off the vectors, wrap it into the ring form again. All the vectors are still selected underneath, and inside, as long as you're in the relief model, just press F12 or the shape editor icon, and now we're going to go to minus on the square setting. So we're going to pick square and just use a minus value in here, and you can see what it's done now. It's removed all the sections of the model that you don't want to keep and just kept that nice curvature of the Celtic weave itself. I've just switched on all the gems again now so you can see the ring finished. It's pretty much ready now, this model. We just need to Once we're happy with that, turn off the rest of the model, and I'm going to now complete the last part of this. So we're going to use it with closed back relief and create the triangle mesh again. So you can see now I've got all the items ready, and I'm going to call this the Celtic ring, and we'll add this to the project folder. So okay, so every component now is ready for this to start being made. We have a new icon now called Create 3D Print Job, which puts a new layer in here. This is the base thickness that you can set. This is the height that from the base you can set to, and you can also make contact points, so as many as you want really. So this just gives you an area where you can start adding points to the model. We generally put about 2 of these in, so one for supports for the bottom for columns and the other one for trees. So you can manually go in, you can select the item, and the first icon in the contact points lets you select the surface where you want those contact points to be. In the contact point area you can select what the columns are going to look like, so I'm happy with that one. And now in trees I'm going to select a tree section as well. So this one here, I want to use this particular type of tree structure, and I want it to do it automatically on this section though. So we use the automatic placing of contact points. So ArtCAM now is going to work that out for us, where those tree supports should be. So you can see it's laid them on already. There's one in the centre here that I don't need because I've already got the red supports here. These are my columns. So I'm going to remove this. And just by pressing this little icon here in the green section, I can manually now remove those just by clicking on it. And I can check around the rest of the model now just to make sure what's required. And I'm going to probably add another point here, another point here. I can interact with this surface just to add those points where I think they might need them. So another couple here. ArtCAM's taken care to put the points where it thinks it should be okay, but if you just want to balance things up you can just go in and interactively work on those points. So I'm happy with all that now. I've got both of those set in, and just by pressing this icon here now it'll work out automatically the base thickness, the columns and the trees to the top surface. So it's already done the base, it's already put the columns in, and now it's working out the tree structure and how that's going to be. There's lots of options in here that you can change all sorts of angles for the tree to and how many you want. But ArtCAM will automatically take care of that for you. So all the supports are on there ready for the build, and all we have to do is slice the model. We've got another nice option in here as well, so if you don't, it takes the same amount of time to print 1 or 4. I think 4 of these items will fit on this on the base of the Ember machine for this style. So you can go into the the assembly area, and we're going to now use a batch file, a batch assembly. So now we can batch these ones and make more than one. And all I'm going to do now is drag in the items, so the 3D printing job, drag it into the batch folder. You can cut and copy as well if you want to. Same with the Celtic ring. You can say cut and copy into this section here, into the batch assembly. And in here we have lots of options. So once that's pasted in, okay, so now we can go into the batch assembly here, go into the edit option, and we can type in 2 and 2, or as many as you want really, and you'll see that they'll multiply immediately. ArtCAM will give you a readout as well on here, just to tell you how big the items are. So the window for the Ember is 64 by 40, so we've got 29 and 57 on here, so plenty of room. But also you can adjust the spacing here too, so sometimes it's better to build without spaces, so this becomes then one platform. We've just taken the spaces out here, and it'll probably build a little bit more accurately as well onto the machine because it gives it added support. Now the trouble is they're quite close now, so if you go back into the 3D printing file here, you can add in a particular border thickness, so now it will move them all apart but still keeping that one platform. So here now we've got a finished visible area of 60 by 32, and the machine is 64 by 40, so these will build perfectly. They'll build upside down, something like this. Okay, at this stage we're ready now to slice the model. There's lots of different areas, so if you go to the assembly area first of all, you can right mouse click and use the 3D print it'll give you the option here to pick the machine that you want to use, and the resolution. So this is selecting the resin that you're going to use. So we're going to use 15 microns on this one. And now we need to go to the area where we're going to save it as a tar.gz, which is the file that the Ember uses. And so once that's prepared, just say create or export to printer, and now it's making the slice files ready for to use on the printer. As soon as these are ready, we can then upload them to the Ember machine. When the slicing operation's finished, we can send that directly to the machine. And I've just done a quick time lapse for you to see how that would work once you've sent it to the Ember printer. So you can see here, this would probably take about an hour and a half to hour and 50 minutes to build. I've condensed all this to just show you what happens. Okay, and here you can just see I'm just checking the gems over to make sure they fit into the mounts. And here we have some silver and some gold printed from using the waxes. Okay, we're going to move on to the rendering now. Just going through the rendering options. Back to ArtCAM, turn off all the items that we have selected. So on the batch assembly here, just reduce those down in the edit icon here down to 1 and 1 again. And just turn off the 3D printing job itself. That'll take all the supports out of here. And we just need to turn on the gems so we can see the model ready for rendering. Okay, I need to go to 3D print, so view, send to render with keyshot. That will open up the keyshot and send the model directly into the keyshot area. You'll see the gems come in because it doesn't recognize this gem color, so we're just going to have to drag another gem on and recolor this now. So we'll just drag one of the other gems that we have available, and then we can just change that. Probably want more of a browny color here, so I'll just drag that one on instead, and that's okay. I'm going to alter that now through the materials. I want to make it a little bit more transparent, so reflective index down a little bit, transparency up. I want it to be quite transparent. Okay, we'll just position this now, get this into a position, sort of a good orientation that we like. Just check it all over. Okay, I'm going to change some of the environmental things now, and the camera angles and the settings. So go to environment first. I want to change the height of the light and the size of the light, give it more intensity here. I'm just changing the angle where those shadows are coming in now. Brightness down a little bit. I'm going to the camera area. I want the gamma rays now. That'll give you a little bit more depth of field for this model. Give it a bit more moody to the gems and the materials that we're using. I'll go into the scene here. I'm going to copy this now, so just duplicate it. And I'm going to move that then as a separate ring so we can see all the angles of the ring from different perspectives. So I'm just now maneuvering that ring, just rotating it round. I'm going to drop it right next to the other ring that we have here, and this way the customers can see immediately different angles of the ring and how it should look from different viewpoints. Just manipulating this now, just driving it down to that position. Just manipulate those angles of the ring. I'll just use the global commands here, drag that down to the center, and rotate it round roughly to that shape first of all. Level that up and then just drag it down to the surface. I need to come round a little bit at the back here. So just drop that in and again down to the surface. Use the global. Okay, that'll do fine. And I just need to rotate that to a better angle so we can see what's happening, and rotate the ring itself and drop it next to the first one. Okay, so that's tick the box. I'm okay with the composition now. I don't just need to get the angles right, and then we're going to start rendering this with probably a bit of vignette as well. So get that position right so the light's bouncing off that top surface. Picking some of the facets is quite nice too. Let's move it to centrally into the screen. And once I'm happy with the render or the position, I can then just let it render and turn the ray bounces up. So ray bounces you want to around about 22, 23, but only after you've finished manoeuvring everything. On the effects side of things, the vignette at the bottom always quite nice. You can add some darker areas around the outside. It sort of highlights the ring in the centre. Just the final positioning now, and then this can be sent to the customer for approval. Lots of different options inside KeyShot. A little bit of ground reflection probably as well, so I'll just turn that one on and we'll bounce some of the reflections off the surface. As KeyShot uses live linking, the image will get progressively better the longer that we leave it on the screen. So you can render automatically too, but you can get a good idea of how the whole model is going to look just by leaving it for a few minutes, and KeyShot will just render it into its optimal resolution. Okay, that concludes the tutorial for ArtCAM 2015 R2 release. I hope you like some of the new features that we've put into the program. Thank you very much.